Now we talked about verbs being past, present, or future. Verbs can also be plural, and nouns can also be plural. So if it's a singular noun, it's talking about that there's one item that noun is referring to, the quantity of one. And if the quantity is more than one, you need to use a plural noun. And if you use a plural noun, you also need to use a plural verb. So the noun and the verb have to match, singular with singular, plural with plural. This is very important. Going back to articles, the article a and an are by definition singular. So if you see something referred to as a, like a pipetter, you know we're talking about one single pipetter. If you say pipetters, plural, you don't use an article. Okay, so a and an are not used before plural nouns, but the can be. Articles are a little bit complicated, but the point here is that we need to make sure that the nouns and the verbs match each other in terms of singular or plural. Let's look at some examples here. So I'll have two sentences and I'll show you the correct way they should be, and then I'll show you the way that they should not be written that I see commonly in scientific writing. All right, so first we have the correct version. The most differentially expressed genes between uninfected and infected bees were classified into 3 groups. What is the subject in this sentence? It is the most differentially expressed genes. So the verb of the sentence needs to go with the word genes. Plural genes, and we have a plural verb, were. So that is correct. That's how it should be. Now if we look at that first sentence in the wrong category, what it says now is the most differentially expressed genes between uninfected and infected bees was classified into 3 groups. So there's 2 plural mistakes in this sentence. The first one is that we have a plural noun, genes, and then we have the singular verb, was. So you wouldn't say the most differentially expressed genes was. You have to say genes were. So that's the first mistake. And then the second mistake is classified into 3 groups. So if you have 3 of something, then it should be groups. It should be plural. Now let's look at the second example. It is likely that there are subtle molecular changes present in those patients that suffer early relapse. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because the sentence starts with a pronoun. It is likely is the subject. And so we have to go farther into the sentence to see what it is referring to. So it is referring to molecular changes. So changes is plural, so we need to use the plural verb of the to be verb, which is are. So the singular would be is, and that would be incorrect. Let's look at a few more examples of subject-verb agreement or lack of agreement. So we'll look at 2 correct sentences and 2 incorrect sentences. Okay, first, correct is a basic challenge of using droplets for transcriptomics is to retain a molecular memory of the identity of the cell from which each mRNA transcript was isolated. So our main noun there is challenge. That's singular. And the clue for that is a. It says a basic challenge. So a indicates that a challenge is singular. And so we have the singular is. Now, the second example, HeLa cells were incubated in the absence or presence of PLK1 kinase inhibitor. So cells is plural, were is plural, they agree. This is correct. Let's look at some wrong examples where they don't have agreement between subject and verb plurality. The potential of treatments included in this study are consistent with previously reported potentials, where similar designs, size classifications, and study methods were used. All right, now this one is a little bit tricky. I mean, I can see why people would write it this way, because it says the potential of treatments. So treatments is plural. It's a plural noun. And so you might think, well, I need to use the plural verb, are. But treatments is not the key subject in this sentence. Potential is the key sentence. Of treatments is a modifying potential. So we're talking about the potential is, it should be the potential is consistent with previously reported potential, right? Not the potential are consistent. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. I hope that makes sense to you. So what you need to do is look for the noun that goes with that verb. It's not necessarily how it first appears. A second example, anthropogenic interference in freshwater river systems have increased rapidly since urbanization has reached all corners of the globe. So again, have is following systems. And so systems is plural. You might think I should use the plural verb, but the verb is referring to interference, which is singular. It's a singular concept. So it should be has, not have. Anthropogenic interference has increased.